The lights in the Seoul Space Institute burned bright even at 3 in the morning. Dr. Kang Minho stood before the holographic display, his eyes red from lack of sleep, but burning with excitement. Numbers and equations floated in the air around him, glowing blue against the darkness of the laboratory. "It works," he whispered, then louder. "It actually works." Dr. Park Ji-young looked up from her workstation across the room. She had been reviewing the calculations for the 5th time that night. Her expression was not one of joy, but concern. "Minho, these numbers are wrong," she said quietly. "Not mathematically wrong, but wrong in what they mean." Kang turned to face her, his smile fading slightly. "What are you talking about?" "The math is perfect. The energy requirements are achievable. We can actually build this." Park stood up and walked over to him, pulling up another set of calculations on the display. "Yes, we can build it. But look at what happens when the drive activates. You are not bending space. You are not creating a wormhole. You are tearing reality apart." "Temporarily," Kang argued. "The tear heals itself in microseconds. The ship moves through it and space returns to normal." "Does it?" Park pointed to a cluster of red warnings in the data. "These readings suggest that each jump leaves something behind. A scar, a weak point in the fabric of space itself." Before Kang could respond, the door to the laboratory opened. Commander Lee Tae-hyun entered, his military uniform crisp despite the late hour. Behind him came Han Suji, the youngest member of their team, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You called for an emergency meeting," Commander Lee said, his voice steady and professional. "I assume this means the project has reached a critical point." Kang nodded eagerly. "We have done it, Commander. A working FTL drive design. We can reach Alpha Centauri in 3 minutes instead of 4 years. Hansuji nearly dropped the coffee cups. 3 minutes? That is impossible. Even the fastest theoretical designs would take weeks. "It is possible," Kang said, gesturing to the holographic display. "By using quantum field manipulation and exotic matter, we create a controlled rupture in space-time. The ship does not travel through space in the traditional sense. It forces the universe to move around it." Commander Lee studied the display carefully. He was not a scientist, but he had learned to understand the basics of their work. What he saw made him uncomfortable. "Forcing the universe," he repeated. "That sounds dangerous." "All FTL travel is dangerous," Kang countered. "But this is achievable with current technology. We do not need to wait another century. We can start building this now." Park crossed her arms. "And what about the damage? Each jump creates instability. If we use this drive repeatedly, what happens? What if the tears do not heal completely?" Hansuji moved closer to the display, her scientific curiosity overcoming her initial shock. She began running her own calculations on a secondary screen. The coffee sat forgotten on a nearby table. Minutes passed in silence as she worked. The others watched her, waiting. Finally, she looked up, her face pale. "There is something else," she said softly. "The quantum mathematics show something strange. When the drive creates this tear, the ship does not just move through our space. It briefly touches other dimensions. Parallel universes." "That is ridiculous," Kang said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Is it?" Han pulled up her calculations. "Look at these quantum signatures. During the microseconds of transition, the ship exists in multiple states simultaneously. It is not just tearing space. It is tearing the barriers between realities." The room fell silent. Even Kang could not immediately dismiss what Han had discovered. The implications were staggering. Commander Lee walked slowly around the holographic display, examining it from all angles. "I need to understand this clearly," he said. "You are telling me that this drive works, but it damages the universe every time we use it?" "Yes," Park said firmly. "Maybe," Kang said at the same time. Lee looked between them. "Which is it?" Park answered first. "Every calculation shows the same result. This drive is effective but destructive. We should not build it." "We do not know that for certain," Kang argued. "The damage appears minimal. The universe is vast. A few small tears in the fabric of space might be insignificant compared to the benefit of FTL travel. Or they might cascade into something catastrophic." Park shot back. "We have no way of knowing the long-term effects." Hansuji spoke up, her voice uncertain. "Could we not test it? Build a small prototype and see what happens?" "That is what I have been proposing," Kang said. "A controlled test in the outer solar system, far from Earth. We measure everything, see if the tears heal properly, and proceed based on the data." Park shook her head. And if something goes wrong? If the tear does not heal? If it starts spreading? Then we will know not to use it, Kang said. But if we do not test it, we will never know. Humanity has been trapped in this solar system for too long. Every other species out there has FTL technology. Why should we be the ones left behind? Commander Lee held up his hand, stopping the argument. This decision is above my authority. I will need to report to the government. They will want to know every detail. The government will want us to build it, Park said bitterly. They do not care about the risks. They only care about not being left behind. That is not fair, Lee replied. They care about humanity's future, about our survival as a species. Being confined to one solar system makes us vulnerable. If something happens to Earth, we have nowhere to go. He turned to Kang. How long would it take to build a prototype? 6 months, Kang answered immediately. Maybe less if we get full funding and support, Lee nodded. I will make my report. But I want all of you to document everything. Every risk, every uncertainty, every possible consequence. The government needs to make an informed decision. They will still approve it, Park said quietly. Lee met her eyes. Probably, but at least they will know what they are approving. Over the next 3 weeks, the team worked around the clock. They built simulations, ran countless tests, and documented every possible outcome. The government review board studied their findings for exactly 2 days before making their decision. The project was approved. Funding flowed in. Engineers arrived. The Seoul Space Institute became the center of humanity's greatest endeavor. Construction began on the prototype ship, christened Infinity's Edge. Park Ji-young continued to voice her concerns, but her warnings grew quieter as the project gained momentum. The excitement was infectious. Everyone wanted to be part of history. Only Han Suji seemed troubled. She spent long hours reviewing the quantum data, searching for something she could not quite name. The numbers bothered her, the way the dimensions seemed to ripple during the simulations. The strange echoes in the quantum foam. Something was watching, she thought, but did not say. Something was waiting. 6 months later, Infinity's Edge sat in orbit beyond Jupiter. Commander Lee Tae-hyun stood on the bridge with a small crew. Dr. Kang Min-ho monitored the drive from the engineering station. Back on Earth, Park Ji-young and Han Suji watched from mission control. The countdown began. At 0, Kang activated the drive. Space screamed. Infinity's Edge vanished, tearing a wound across reality as it jumped to Alpha Centauri in 3 minutes flat. And across the galaxy, 1,000 different species felt the ripple and turned their attention toward Earth in horror. The crew of Infinity's Edge cheered as the ship materialized in the Alpha Centauri system. 3 minutes. They had crossed 4 light-years in 3 minutes. Commander Lee Tae-hyun allowed himself a smile as he looked at the alien sun burning bright on the view screen. All systems normal, reported the navigation officer. Position confirmed. We are exactly where we should be. Dr. Kang Min-ho was laughing with joy at his engineering station. We did it. The drive worked perfectly. The energy consumption was even lower than predicted. But the celebration lasted only moments. Commander, the sensor officer said, her voice tight with confusion. I am detecting strange readings behind us. Where we came from, Lee turned. What kind of readings? Space itself is wrong. The sensors show distortions. Gravity fluctuations. Something is still happening at our jump point. Back on Earth, Park Ji-young was already seeing the same data. Her hands flew across her console, pulling up more detailed scans. What she saw made her blood run cold. The tear is not healing, she said to Han Suji beside her. It should have closed by now. But it is still there. And it is growing. Han pulled up the quantum readings. The numbers were worse than she feared. It is not just growing. It is spreading, like a crack in glass. Within an hour, the tear had expanded to nearly 1 kilometer wide. Energy readings spiked and fell in random patterns. Ships in the outer solar system reported navigation problems. Even light seemed to bend strangely near the distortion. And then Earth received a message. It came on every frequency simultaneously. Every radio telescope, every communication satellite, every device capable of receiving a signal suddenly carried the same transmission. The language was not human, but somehow everyone understood it perfectly. Primitive species of the third planet. You have been detected. Cease all experimentation immediately. A representative of the Galactic Council will arrive shortly to discuss your violation of universal safety protocols. The message repeated 3 times. Then silence. In the mission control room, chaos erupted. Park Ji-young tried to restore order, but everyone was shouting at once. The Galactic Council, alien species, universal protocols, everything humanity thought it knew about the universe had just been shattered. 6 hours later, a ship appeared in Earth's orbit. It was massive, easily the size of a small city, and its design was unlike anything humans had imagined. It simply appeared without any visible means of propulsion or entry. One moment the space was empty, the next moment the ship was there. Another message came. We request a representative to discuss matters of galactic security. Come alone and unarmed. The world government scrambled. Who should go? What should they say? In the end, they chose Ambassador Choi Hyun-woo, a senior diplomat known for his calm demeanor and quick thinking. He had 2 hours to prepare for the most important meeting in human history. A beam of light transported him from Earth's surface directly to the alien ship. Choi found himself standing in a vast circular chamber. Around him were beings of a dozen different species. Some were vaguely humanoid, others completely alien. All of them looked at him with expressions that ranged from curiosity to outright hostility. An elderly being that resembled a mixture of crystal and light floated forward. I am Counselor Vilmara of the Andromeda Coalition. I speak for the elder races. You are the first human to stand before the Galactic Council. I wish the circumstances were different. Choi bowed respectfully. I am honored, though I admit I am confused. We did not know other intelligent species existed. Our searches for alien life found nothing. Because we hid from you, said another voice. This came from a large armored being with multiple limbs. I am High Commander Kratos of the Orion Supremacy. My species has monitored your world for 3 centuries. We knew you would eventually achieve space travel. We did not expect you to create something so recklessly dangerous. You speak of our FTL drive, Choi said carefully. Your weapon, Kratos corrected. That is what you have created. Not a tool for exploration, but a weapon that threatens every species in this galaxy. A third being stepped forward, this one appearing to be made of shifting mathematical patterns. I am Mediator Thylon of the Neutral Arbiters. Allow me to explain clearly. Your species has developed a form of faster-than-light travel that functions by tearing holes in the fabric of reality itself. Every species capable of detecting subspace signatures witnessed what you did. You essentially stabbed the universe and rode the wound across space. Choi felt his stomach drop. We knew there might be some spatial distortion, but we thought it would heal naturally. It has not, Vilmara said gently. The tear you created is spreading. My species' territories are 5 light-years from the distortion. We are already experiencing what we call reality tremors, moments where the laws of physics temporarily fail. Ships lose power. Gravity fluctuates. In one case, a station briefly phased partially out of normal space. We will stop, Choi said immediately. We will not use the drive again until we understand the problem. It is too late for that, Kratos said harshly. The damage is done, and based on the energy signatures we detected, your ship has already returned to your solar system. You have created a second tier, Choi's mind raced. Commander Lee and Infinity's Edge had jumped back to Earth just an hour ago. Another tier. More damage. Thylon projected a holographic display showing the galaxy. 2 red points marked Earth and Alpha Centauri, with spreading circles indicating the distortions. If your species continues using this technology, mathematical models predict catastrophic consequences. Each tier weakens the barriers between dimensions. Eventually, you will create a cascade failure. Reality itself will begin to collapse in affected regions. How many jumps until that happens? Choi asked. Unknown, Thylon replied. Perhaps dozens. Perhaps 5. The universe is not a simple system, but the risk is unacceptable. Vilmara spoke again, her voice sad. Ambassador Choi, I understand your species' desire to reach the stars. All species feel this calling. But there are rules that govern faster-than-light travel. Rules that exist for good reason. Your method violates all of them. Then teach us the correct way, Choi pleaded. Share your technology. Help us develop something safe. That is not possible, Kratos said flatly. By unanimous decision of the Galactic Council, your species is hereby quarantined to your solar system. You will be provided with sublight technology for system exploration, but you are forbidden from attempting any form of FTL travel. This quarantine will remain in effect indefinitely. You cannot do this, Choi said, his voice rising. You cannot imprison an entire species because of one mistake. We made an error, yes, but we can learn. We can do better, can you? Kratos challenged. Your species achieved FTL capability before even colonizing your neighboring planets. You rushed forward without caution, without wisdom. You prove yourselves too dangerous to join the galactic community. Velmara raised a crystalline hand. There is more you must know, Ambassador. The technology you created must be destroyed. All data, all prototypes, all research, everything. A council fleet will remain in your system to ensure compliance. If you resist, we will be forced to take more extreme measures. Choi felt anger rising in his chest. You are threatening us. We are protecting trillions of lives across thousands of worlds, Thylon said simply. Your species numbers 8 billion. It is an unfortunate calculation, but if necessary, the Council will prioritize the greater galactic community over one primitive species. The words hung in the air. The threat was clear. Comply or face extinction. How long do we have to decide? Choi asked quietly. You have already decided, Kratos said. Your ship returned home. Your scientists are celebrating. Your governments are already planning more jumps. We know your species, Ambassador. We have studied you. You will not stop voluntarily. Then what happens now? Velmara's expression was mournful. Now we wait to see if your species will choose wisdom or pride. I truly hope you choose wisdom. I have seen what happens when a species refuses to accept the Council's judgment. It is not pleasant. Choi was transported back to Earth, his mind reeling. The first contact with alien life had been everything humanity had dreamed of, and nothing like they expected. They were not alone in the universe, but they were also not welcome. As he stood in the emergency meeting with world leaders delivering the Council's ultimatum, he saw the same emotions on every face. Fear, anger, defiance. Humanity had reached for the stars and found them guarded by beings who saw them as a threat. The question now was what humanity would do about it. In orbit above Earth, the Council fleet took position. Massive ships arranged themselves around the solar system, a cage of steel and energy waiting to see if humanity would accept their prison. And in the Seoul Space Institute, Dr. Kang Minho stared at his creation and wondered if he had doomed his entire species. Dr. Kang Minho slammed his fist on the table, making everyone in the emergency meeting jump. This is insane. They want us to destroy everything we have worked for, to accept imprisonment in our own solar system? Never. Dr. Park Ji-young sat across from him, her expression tired. Minho, they have warships. Weapons we cannot imagine. If we refuse, they will destroy us. Then we will fight, Kang said stubbornly. We will find a way. Commander Lee Tae-hyun shook his head. With what? Our most advanced weapons would be like throwing stones at a mountain. The Council fleet could wipe out our entire civilization in minutes. Han Suji had been silent throughout most of the meeting, staring at her tablet. Now she looked up, her eyes bright with something between fear and excitement. I have been analyzing the subspace data the Council allowed us to access. The readings they sent as proof of the damage we caused. And, Park asked, their FTL technology creates the same kind of damage, Han said quietly. It is different in method, but the result is the same. They tear reality too. They just do it more slowly. The room went silent. Kang leaned forward. Are you certain? Han pulled up holographic displays showing comparative energy signatures. Look at these patterns. These are from our jump. These are from their ships when they arrived. The quantum signatures are nearly identical. They damage space-time every time they travel. They have just been doing it for so long that the universe has adapted to it. Scars, Park whispered. Old scars that healed over. Exactly, Han confirmed. But they are still scars. Their space is damaged just like ours is now. The difference is that their damage happened over millions of years. Ours happened in minutes. Kang stood up, pacing. So they are hypocrites. They do the same thing we do, but they want to stop us because we are new at it. Or because new damage might compound the old damage, Park countered. If space is already weakened from millions of years of their FTL travel, adding our tiers to it might be the breaking point. Or they are afraid of competition, Kang said. We achieved in decades what took them millennia. If we improve the drive, if we make it faster, more efficient, we could become a threat to their dominance. Commander Lee considered this. That does not help us. Even if they are hypocrites, they still have the power to enforce their will. Park Ji-young had been working on her own tablet during the discussion. Now she looked up, her face pale. I found something. I have been researching the historical records the Council provided. 3 other species developed drives similar to ours in the past. What happened to them? Han asked. 2 of them are now part of the Council, Park said, but their technology is monitored constantly. They can only use their FTL drives with Council approval. They are members, but not equals. They are controlled. And the 3rd species? Commander Lee asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Park's voice was barely above a whisper. They refused to comply. They insisted on their right to develop their own technology. The Council declared them a threat to galactic safety. Within a year, their entire species was extinct. The official report calls it defensive quarantine protocols. Genocide, Kang said flatly. They committed genocide. They called it protecting the galaxy, Park replied. And perhaps they believed it. But the result was the same. An entire species erased from existence. The weight of this information settled over the room like a heavy blanket. Humanity faced an impossible choice. Submit to eternal control or face annihilation. Ambassador Choi Hyun-woo, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke. I met with Counselor Velmara privately after the official session. She told me something off the record. Everyone turned to him. She said the Council's greatest fear is not the damage itself. It is that humanity discovered in decades what took other species millennia. She said if we can improve the wound drive, we might become unstoppable. The quarantine is as much about fear as it is about safety. They are afraid of us, Han said wonderingly. Terrified, Choi confirmed. And fear makes even wise beings do foolish things. Kang's mind was already racing. What if we could fix it? What if we could modify the drive to heal the damage as it creates it? Park looked skeptical. Is that even possible? I do not know, Kang admitted. But we have to try. If we can prove that our technology can be made safe, the Council will have no legitimate reason to quarantine us. And if we fail? Commander Lee asked. Then at least we tried, Kang replied. I would rather die trying to reach the stars than live as a prisoner in my own home. Over the next 2 months, the team worked in secret. Publicly, Earth's governments negotiated with the Council, asking for time to dismantle the FTL program properly. Privately, Kang, Park, Han, and a small group of trusted scientists worked on improving the drive. The Council fleet remained in position around the solar system, watching and waiting. Han Suji made the breakthrough. She discovered that by using exotic matter in a specific configuration, they could create a healing field around the tear. The ship would still rip through reality, but it would stitch the wound closed as it passed through. It is like a needle and thread, she explained to the others. We pierce the fabric, but we immediately repair the damage. Will it work? Park asked. In theory, Han said, but there is a problem. To properly heal the tear, the ship has to spend more time in the rift itself, not just touching it for microseconds, but actually existing inside it for almost a full second. What happens during that second? Commander Lee asked. Han looked uncomfortable. I do not know. Inside the rift, the normal laws of physics do not apply. Time, space, matter, energy, all of it becomes undefined. The ship and everyone on it would be exposed to conditions that should not exist. They might not survive, Park said. Or they might survive but change, Han added. The quantum equations suggest possibilities I do not understand. Transformations, evolutions, things that cannot happen in normal space. Kang studied the design. It is risky, but it is our only option. If this works, we can prove to the Council that humans can be trusted. That we can fix problems instead of just creating them. Park shook her head. And if it fails? If the ship is destroyed or the crew is killed? Then the danger dies with us, Commander Lee said quietly. I will pilot it. If anyone is going to risk their life on this, it should be me. I am going with you, Kang said immediately. This is my design. My responsibility. I need to gather data, Han added. I need to see what happens inside the rift. Someone with quantum knowledge has to be there. Park looked at all of them. You are all insane. You are volunteering for a suicide mission. Maybe, Commander Lee said. But what choice do we have? If we surrender to the Council, humanity stays trapped forever. If we fight them directly, we die. This is the only path that gives us a chance at freedom. The decision was made. They would secretly launch Infinity's Edge with the modified drive. They would jump not to a new location, but through the original tear still spreading slowly through space near Jupiter. If the healing drive worked, they would seal the damage and prove humanity's worth. If it failed, at least they would die trying. Earth's government officially announced they would comply with the Council's demands. Dismantling of the FTL program would begin immediately. This bought them time and made the Council fleet relax their vigilance slightly. 3 days before the planned launch, Park Ji-young pulled Han aside. "I have been running simulations. The quantum math keeps showing something strange." "What?" Han asked. "During that second inside the rift, the ship will not be alone," Park said. "There are patterns in the quantum foam. Signatures that look like consciousness." "That is impossible," Han said automatically, but her voice lacked conviction. "Is it?" Park asked. "We barely understand quantum mechanics. We certainly do not understand what exists in the spaces between dimensions. What if something lives there? What if we are about to meet it?" Han felt a chill run down her spine. She had seen similar patterns in her own research but had dismissed them as calculation errors. Now Park was confirming them. "Should we tell the others?" Han asked. Park considered, then shook her head. "They have already committed to going. This information would only add more fear without changing anything. Let them focus on the mission." The day of the launch arrived. Commander Lee, Dr. Kang, and Han Suji boarded Infinity's Edge in secret. The ship had been moved to the far side of the moon, away from the Council's main observation points. Park Ji-young remained on Earth, ready to protect the research data if everything went wrong. As the ship powered up, Ambassador Choi sent a message to the Council. "We are complying with your terms, but know this: humanity will never stop reaching for the stars. You can cage us today, but someday we will find a way to fly free." It was a message of defiance wrapped in words of submission, and it bought the crew just enough time. Infinity's Edge launched toward Jupiter, toward the spreading wound in space, toward a destiny that would change not just humanity's future, but the future of every species in the galaxy. The bridge of Infinity's Edge hummed with barely contained energy as the ship approached the dimensional tear near Jupiter. Commander Lee Tae-hyun kept his hand steady on the controls, though his heart raced. Behind him, Dr. Kang Min-ho monitored the modified drive, while Han Suji watched quantum readings that made less sense with every passing moment. "The tear has grown," Han reported. "It is now 3 kilometers across. Gravitational readings are unstable. Reality itself is thin here." Through the view screen they could see it, not with normal sight because the tear existed in dimensions human eyes were not meant to perceive. But the ship's sensors translated it into something comprehensible. It looked like a wound in the fabric of space, edges rippling with impossible colors, the center darker than any darkness should be. "Modified drive is ready," Kang announced. "All systems show green. The healing field is charged and stable." Commander Lee opened a channel to Earth. "Park, we are in position. Beginning final checks." Dr. Park Ji-young's voice came through clearly despite the distance. "All telemetry looks good from here. But please reconsider. There is still time to abort." "No," Lee said simply. "There is no time left. The Council is growing suspicious. High Commander Kratos has been asking questions about ship movements. If we wait any longer, they will stop us." In the Council fleet's flagship, Kratos was indeed suspicious. His sensors had detected unusual energy patterns near Jupiter. A human ship was moving in that region, and its power signature was familiar. "They are attempting something," he told his crew. "Prepare weapons. If they activate that drive again, we will destroy them immediately." Back on Infinity's Edge, the countdown began. Lee, Kang, and Han strapped themselves into their seats. The ship aligned itself with the dimensional tear, preparing to dive directly into it. 10 seconds, Kang counted. 9, 8. Han's hands trembled as she activated the recording equipment. Whatever happened in the next few moments would either save humanity or doom it. 3, 2, 1. Jump. The modified drive activated, and reality shattered. Infinity's Edge plunged into the dimensional rift, and immediately everything went wrong and right simultaneously. Time stopped having meaning. The ship existed and did not exist. The crew could see themselves from outside their bodies while simultaneously feeling stretched across infinite space. Commander Lee tried to scream but had no voice. Tried to think but had no thoughts separate from the universe around him. He was the ship and the stars and the darkness between them all at once. Dr. Kang watched numbers appear in the air around him. equations that explained the fundamental nature of reality. They were beautiful and terrible and made perfect sense in a way that no human mathematics ever had. He understood for one eternal moment exactly what the universe was. Han Suji saw them first. The entities. They existed in the space between spaces in the quantum foam that underlies all reality. They were vast beyond measuring, old beyond counting, and aware in ways that human consciousness could barely grasp. They were not alive in any way that biology would recognize, but they were conscious. They were real. And they had been waiting. One of them focused its attention on the ship, and Han felt her mind expand to accommodate the contact. It did not speak in words, but in concepts that appeared directly in her understanding. "You are the species that tears," it communicated. "You are the ones who make wounds." Han tried to respond, tried to explain, but her thoughts were inadequate. The entity showed her something. A vision of the galaxy as seen from its perspective. Millions of scars crisscrossing space, old wounds that had healed over millennia. These were the paths of the Council species, their FTL journeys leaving permanent marks on reality. "They damage," the entity conveyed. "They have always damaged. They tear the barriers between worlds, and we must work to maintain separation, to keep realities from bleeding into each other." Han understood then. These entities were not just observers. They were guardians. They existed in the spaces between dimensions specifically to hold reality together, to heal the damage that spacefaring species inflicted. "We did not know," Han thought desperately. "We did not mean to hurt you." "The young species never knows," the entity replied without judgment. "The old species have forgotten. Only you have stopped to listen." The vision shifted. Han saw what would happen if the dimensional tears continued unchecked. Reality would thin, like fabric worn through in too many places. Eventually, dimensions would collapse into each other. Universes would merge in catastrophic cascades of contradictory physics. Trillions would die. Perhaps everything would die. But the entity also showed her something else. The healing drive. The design that Kang and Han had created. It worked more than worked. It could reverse the damage, seal the tears completely, not just stop making new wounds, but heal the old ones. "You are the first to try to repair," the entity communicated. "In 10 million years of watching, you are the first species to consider healing instead of just taking." Commander Lee suddenly found himself present in the communication. He felt the weight of the entity's attention like standing before an ancient judge. "What do you want from us?" he asked, his thoughts more clear now. "Nothing," the entity replied. "We want nothing. But we offer something. Knowledge. True understanding of subspace. Not how to force your way through it, but how to move with it. To ask permission instead of taking by force." Images flooded into their minds. New equations. New principles. A completely different approach to faster-than-light travel that worked with the structure of space instead of against it. It was beautiful, elegant, and utterly safe. Dr. Kang wept as he absorbed the knowledge. His entire approach had been wrong. He had thought of space as something to conquer, to overcome. But space was not an enemy. It was a partner. A living system that could be worked with if approached with respect. "Why give this to us?" Han asked. "Because you tried to heal," the entity answered. "Because you alone among all species saw the harm you caused and sought to fix it. You are young and foolish, but you are also capable of growth, of change. This is rare." The communication carried a sense of sadness. The old species, the Council, they have forgotten how to change. They are set in their ways. They cause harm and justify it. They see the damage they create and call it necessary. They will never heal what they have broken because they do not see it as broken. "Can we heal it?" Commander Lee asked. "With this knowledge, yes," the entity confirmed. "But it will take time. Generations, perhaps. You must convince the others to change. To stop tearing and start healing." Han felt the enormity of the task. "They will not listen to us. The Council fears humanity. They will destroy us before letting us show them a better way." "Then you must make them listen," the entity said. "Show them what you have learned. Share the knowledge freely. Let all species see that there is another path." The healing drive activated automatically, guided by the entity. Infinity's edge moved through the dimensional rift, and as it passed, the wound sealed behind it. The exotic matter configuration worked exactly as designed, stitching reality back together perfectly. The ship emerged back into normal space exactly where it had entered. The dimensional tear was gone, completely healed as if it had never existed. Commander Lee checked the sensors frantically. The tier, it is gone. Completely sealed. The drive worked, Kang said in wonder. It actually worked. More than worked, Han said, her eyes bright with tears. Look at the readings. Look at what we brought back. Data poured into the ship's computers. Complete specifications for a new form of FTL travel. A method that required no tearing, no damage, no force. A symbiotic relationship with space itself. But before they could celebrate, alarms screamed. The Council fleet had detected them. High Commander Kratos had ordered weapons charged. They are going to destroy us, Commander Lee said calmly. They think we defied them. We did defy them, Kang replied. And we succeeded. Han made a decision. She activated the ship's communication systems and broadcast on every frequency, not just to the Council fleet but to Earth, to every human station, to every satellite that could receive and relay a signal. Attention all species, she said. We have made contact with the entities that exist between dimensions. They have given humanity a gift. Knowledge of how to travel faster than light without causing harm. We are sharing this knowledge freely with all species. The data is attached to this transmission. Commander Lee understood immediately. He helped her upload everything. The new equations. The new drive specifications. The complete design for FTL technology that would work in harmony with space instead of tearing it apart. You cannot suppress this, Han continued. It is already spreading. Every species that receives this transmission will see that there is another way. A better way. On the Council flagship, Counselor Velmara received the transmission and felt something she had not felt in centuries. Hope. High Commander Kratos screamed orders to destroy the human ship, but Velmara countermanded him. Stand down. Look at what they have sent. Really look at it. The quantum specifications were perfect. The mathematics was flawless. And the source? Velmara recognized the signature. She had encountered it once before, billions of years ago, when her species was young, before they had developed FTL, before they had started damaging the universe. Infinity's Edge approached the Council flagship slowly, its crew exhausted but alive. Commander Lee Tae-hyun piloted the ship with careful precision, aware that dozens of weapons were still trained on them. One wrong move could end everything. They have cleared us for docking, he announced. Counselor Velmara requests that all three of us attend the emergency session. Dr. Kang Min-ho checked his equipment one last time. The transmission was received by 47 different species before the Council could even think about blocking it. The knowledge is spreading. Han Suji stared out at the massive Council ships surrounding them. Do you think they will kill us anyway? Even after what we showed them? Maybe, Commander Lee admitted. But we knew the risks. At least the knowledge survives even if we do not. The ship docked and the three humans were escorted into the Council chamber. It was even more crowded than when Ambassador Choi had visited. Representatives from species across the galaxy had arrived, all wanting to witness this moment. Counselor Velmara floated at the center of the chamber, her crystalline form glowing softly. Beside her stood High Commander Kratos, his armored body tense with barely controlled anger. Mediator. Thylon hovered nearby, its mathematical patterns shifting rapidly as it processed information. Humans of Earth, Velmara began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast room. You were ordered to cease all FTL experiments. You defied this order. You risked your lives and potentially the lives of billions. Why? Commander Lee stepped forward. Because freedom is not something you ask permission for. It is something you claim. Humanity will not live in a cage, no matter how justified that cage might seem. Kratos slammed one of his limbs against the floor. Arrogance. You risked everything because of pride. Not pride, Han Suji said quietly. Hope. We hoped there was a better way, and we were right. She pulled up a holographic display showing the data they had gathered. The dimensional tear near Jupiter is completely healed. Not scarred over. Not waiting to break open again, healed as if it never existed. Our modified drive works. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several species representatives moved closer to examine the data. More than that, Dr. Kang added, bringing up the new specifications. We made contact with the entities that exist between dimensions. They gave us knowledge. A new form of FTL travel that causes no damage at all. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted questions. Some demanded to see proof. Others accused humanity of fabricating everything. Mediator Thelon raised its form and silence fell. I have analyzed the mathematical specifications in the human transmission. They are valid, more than valid. They are perfect. This method of FTL travel would cause zero-dimensional stress, zero spatial tearing. It is everything we should have been striving for. Impossible, Kratos said. No species has ever achieved such technology. Because no species ever tried, Velmara said softly. All eyes turned to her. The ancient counselor looked older than ever. Her crystalline form dimmed. We found methods that worked and we stopped searching for better ones. We justified the damage we caused as necessary. We called it the price of progress. She turned to face the assembled representatives. I must confess something to this council. Something my species has hidden for 300 years. Our home system is dying. The cumulative damage from billions of years of FTL travel has weakened the fabric of space around our worlds. Reality itself is becoming thin. We have been hiding it, hoping for a solution, but there is none, not with our current technology. The revelation shocked the chamber into silence. The Andromeda Coalition was one of the oldest and most respected members of the Council. If their space was failing, what did that mean for the rest of the galaxy? How long? Another representative asked. A century, perhaps less, Velmara admitted. We have been evacuating slowly, secretly, but there are billions of my people. Where will they go? Every region of space we travel to, we damage further with our presence. Han stepped forward. The healing drive can fix it. The specifications we shared include instructions for retrofitting existing FTL systems. You can modify your ships to heal the damage they create. Given time, you could even reverse the damage already done. This is a trick, Kratos insisted. The humans are trying to destabilize the Council with false hope. Then test it, Commander Lee challenged. Take the specifications. Build a prototype. See for yourself. We have shared the knowledge freely. It belongs to everyone now. Thylon's mathematical patterns shifted into something that might have been excitement. The humans are correct. The knowledge has already spread to multiple species. Within days, it will be known across the galaxy. We cannot suppress it even if we wanted to. And why would we want to? Another representative asked. If this technology is real, it could save us all. Kratos turned on Velmara. You knew. You knew our FTL travel was killing the universe, and you said nothing. I suspected, Velmara corrected. But I had no proof, and I had no solution. What would you have had me do? Tell the galaxy that everything we have built is slowly destroying existence itself? That would have caused panic, chaos, war. Instead, you let it continue, Kratos said bitterly. You let my people, all our peoples, keep damaging reality because you hoped the problem would go away on its own. I was wrong, Velmara admitted. I was a coward. And now these humans, these young, foolish, brave humans, have shown us a better way. They could have kept this knowledge for themselves, used it to gain power. Instead, they shared it freely with everyone. Dr. Park Ji-young's voice suddenly came through the communication system. She had been watching from Earth. Because that is what you do when you discover something important. You share it. Knowledge belongs to everyone, not just those who discovered it first. Ambassador Choi stood up from his observer's seat. The Council has a choice to make. You can destroy humanity for defying you. You can maintain your quarantine and force us to watch as you fail. Or you can accept that maybe, just maybe, the youngest species in the galaxy saw something you missed. That sometimes being new means seeing problems with fresh eyes. Mediator Thylon processed for several moments, its patterns flickering. Finally, it spoke. I move that the quarantine on humanity be lifted immediately. Furthermore, I move that Earth be granted full membership in the Galactic Council with all rights and privileges. They have earned it. Seconded, Velmara said immediately. The vote was called. It was not unanimous. High Commander Kratos and several others abstained, unable to let go of their anger and fear. But the majority voted yes. Humanity was no longer quarantined. They were members of the galactic community, but there was more. I also move, Velmara continued, that Dr. Kang Minho, Dr. Park Ji-young, Han Soo-ji, and Commander Lee Tae-hyun be appointed as joint directors of the Galactic Healing Initiative, a new council project dedicated to retrofitting all FTL technology and reversing the damage we have caused over millions of years. This vote too passed, though with more debate. As the session ended and representatives dispersed, Velmara approached the human crew privately. I must ask, the entities between dimensions. What were they like? Han considered the question carefully. Ancient, sad, patient. They have been watching us hurt ourselves for so long, waiting for someone to finally ask for help instead of just taking what they wanted. And they chose to help you specifically? Not because we are special, Commander Lee said, but because we tried to fix our mistake. We are the first species that saw the harm we caused and immediately looked for a way to heal it. While the rest of us justified our actions and moved on, Velmara said quietly. There is a lesson in that. One I wish my species had learned billions of years ago. 5 years passed. Dr. Kang Minho stood in a joint laboratory aboard a council station, working alongside scientists from a dozen different species. They were retrofitting an ancient warship, converting its damaging FTL drive into a healing one. It was slow, delicate work, but it was working. Commander Lee Taehyun captained the first joint exploration vessel, a ship built from the ground up with the new symbiotic drive. They were exploring regions of space too fragile for old FTL technology to safely approach. Already they had discovered 3 new species and 2 previously unknown phenomena. Han Suji had become something entirely new, a liaison to the dimensional entities. She spent weeks at a time in specially designed meditation chambers, communicating with the beings between realities, learning from them. She was writing a book about the true nature of space and time that would revolutionize physics. Dr. Park Ji-young led the Galactic Healing Initiative from Earth. Under her direction, thousands of ships had been converted. The dimensional tiers were beginning to heal. Slowly, carefully, reality was being repaired. Ambassador Choi Hyun-woo now served as Earth's primary representative on the council. He spent his days in endless meetings and negotiations, helping guide humanity's integration into galactic society. It was exhausting work but deeply satisfying. On Earth, billions of people looked up at the stars with new hope. They were no longer alone, no longer trapped. The galaxy was open to them now, and they had earned their place in it not through conquest or force, but through compassion and creativity. The message from deep space came on a quiet Tuesday morning.